Hi, Mrs. Trump. My name is Angela Wiltz. I live in Jaffrey, New Hampshire. Tiny little rural town. I was just watching your address to the RNC, and I want to thank you. I guess the best way I know how to do that is to tell you a little bit about myself, to tell you a story, and I hope that's okay. That's why I'm doing video rather than writing. I was born in 1973 to a 16-year-old mother. She was a mess. She was mentally ill very early on. I think I was aware of that by the time I was 3. The first thing I remember that woman saying to me was, "You're a liar." I think it was the last thing she said to me, too. She was abusive, she was neglectful, she was a drug addict. We grew up. I have a disease called hereditary angioedema, as does my mother. It's debilitating, it's horrible. And I'll throw a picture up. That's when my face swells. For me, predominantly the swelling happens in my intestines, and it feels like a gunshot wound. Hereditary angioedema, I'm missing the component in my blood that controls swelling. So I just swell at random. I have some triggers. It's usually stress and trauma. Great, right? Especially when you live in an abusive household. I look around at what the pandemic is doing to our country, which is horrible, and I'm living through that too, but I feel so terrible for these kids stuck at home. Because I remember what that was like. I hid as much as I could. I was basically Cinderella. When I was 15, my mother broke my jaw with a hammer. And I didn't stick around for it to get worse, because I was really convinced she was going to kill me. So I went to a friend. It's a long story. I ended up at the police. It was my choice. I asked to go into foster care because I didn't know what else to do. That ended up being a bit of a nightmare that I won't get into. I went to a psych hospital for a little while. I asked to go there too because I was so miserable and I knew it. I was afraid of what I would do to myself. I liked it there. And then when that was over, they sent me back home. From there, the court decided it was best that I go into a residential facility. It's called Germain Lawrence in Massachusetts. Perhaps you've heard of it. I don't know. It's all girls facility in Arlington, Mass. I actually liked it there. I actually thought I had a chance for a future. The thing was, nobody really helped me. I did it all myself. Because I thought, I just figured there was a life path that I was supposed to follow, so I was going to do it no matter what, right? I got myself into college, but I couldn't stay because of the angioedema attacks. But nobody had told me about disability rights. Nobody told me about scholarships. Nobody told me about anything. So I had to drop out of college. And that's always been a sore spot for me. It happened again during the housing crisis when everything fell apart. And I was already going on disability because I couldn't work anymore. Both my daughter and I were having too many attacks. I went back to school and I couldn't keep up with it. I was even on disability then and nobody offered any guidance on what I was supposed to do when I asked. Anyway, I wish a lot of what you were doing now was around when I was a kid, and I'm really grateful for it. Because even no matter what your color is, when you live through that, when your mother breaks your jaw with a hammer, when she tells you that you're not worth loving, that nobody likes you, that nobody could ever like you, you grow up with that. I wasn't given the tools to live life not living by that. And people used to ridicule me because you're supposed to respect your parents. Well, how do you respect a person who... There's more to abuse than what people think. She brought me to a gynecologist when I was 11 to make sure I was a virgin. I didn't even... So these kids not being at school, I homeschool my kids, so don't get me wrong. I have no problem with homeschooling, but these kids not going to school. These kids that don't have a chance when they get out of foster care and they're let loose in the world. Education opportunities, things for people with disabilities, even now, pain management, the opioid, all of these things are truly, deeply affecting to me. And I'm glad somebody's finally paying attention. Thank you.